Hello everyone, it's Taiba and you are watching your own channel Audio Visual Books. The Diary of a Young Girl is the book we have started. Its previous pages you will find in the playlist of the same channel. Let's see some of next pages in the journey of our book reading. Wednesday, January 12, 1944. Dearest Kitty, Babs has been back for the last 2 weeks. Though her sister would not be allowed back at school until next week, Pep herself spent 2 days in bed with a bad cold. Mape and Jane were also out for 2 days with upset stomachs. I am currently going through a dance and ballet craze and am diligently practicing my dance steps every evening. I have made an ultra modern dance costume out of a lacy lavender slip belonging to Momsey. Bia's tape is threaded through the top and tied just above the bust. A pink corded ribbon completes the ensemble. I tried to turn my tennis shoes into ballet slippers, but with no success. My stiff limbs are uh, well on the way to becoming as limber as they used to be. A terrific exercise is to sit on the floor, place a heel in each hand, and raise both legs in the air. I have to sit on a cushion because otherwise my poor backside really takes a beating. Everyone here is reading a book called A Cloudless Morning. Mother thought it was extremely good because it describes a number of adolescents' problems. I thought to myself a bit ironically, why don't you take more interest in your own adolescents first? I think mother believes that Margaret and I have a better relationship with our parents than anyone in the whole wide world, and that no mother is more involved in the lives of her children than she is. She must have my sister in mind, since I don't believe Margaret has the same problems and thoughts as I do. Far be it from me to point out to mother that one of her daughters is not at all what she imagines. She had been completely bewildered, and anyway, she had never been able to change. I had liked to spare her that grief, especially since I know that everything would remain the same. Mother does sense that Margaret loves her much more than I do, but she thinks I am just going through a phase. Margaret gotten much nicer. She seems a lot different than she used to be. She is not nearly as catty these days and is becoming a real friend. She no longer thinks of me as a little kid who does not count. It is funny, but I can sometimes see myself as others see me. I take a leery look at the person called Anne Frank and browse through the pages of her life as though she was a stranger. Because before I came here, when I did not think about things as much as I do now, I occasionally had the feelings that I did not belong to Mamsai, Pim, and Margaret, and that I would always be an outsider. I sometimes went around for 6 months at a time pretending I was an orphan. Then I had chastised myself for playing the victim when really, I had always been so fortunate. After that, I had forced myself to be friendly for a while. Every morning, when I heard footsteps on the stairs, I hoped it would be mother coming to say good morning. I had greeted her warmly because I honestly did look forward to her affectionate glance. But then she had snapped at me for having made some comment or other, and I go off to school feeling completely discouraged. On the way home, I had make excuses for her, telling myself that she had so many worries. I had arrived home in high spirits, chatting 19 to the dozen until the events of the morning would repeat themselves, and I had left the room with my schooling in my hand and a pensive look on my face. Sometimes I had decided to stay angry, but then I always but then my hand and a pensive look on my face. Sometimes I had decided to stay angry, but then I always had so much to talk about after school that I had forget my resolution and want mother to stop whatever she was doing and lend a willing ear. Then the time would come once more when I no longer listened for the steps on the stairs and felt lonely and cried into my pillow every night. Everything has gotten much worse here, but you already knew that. Now God has sent someone to help me better. I fondle my pendant, press it to my lips and think, what do I care? Petal is mine and nobody knows it. With this in mind, I can rise above every nasty remark. Which of the people here would suspect that so much is going on in the mind of a teenage girl? Saturday, January 15, 1944. My dearest Kitty, there is no reason for me to go on describing all our quarrels and arguments down to the last detail. It is enough to tell you that we are divided. Many things like meat and fats and oils and or frying our own potatoes. Recently, we have been eating a little extra rye bread because by 4 o'clock we are so hungry for dinner we can barely control our rumbling stomachs. Mother's birthday is rapidly approaching. She received some extra sugar from Mr. Kugler, which sparked off jealousy on the part of the Van Dons. Because Mrs. Wandy did not receive any on her birthday. But what is the point of boring you with harsh words, spiteful conversations, and tears when you know they bore us even more? Mother has expressed a wish, which is not likely to come true anytime soon. Not to have to see Mr. Von Don's face for 2 whole weeks. I wonder if everyone who shares a house sooner or later ends up to odds with their fellow residents. Or have we just had a stroke of bad luck? At mealtime, Van Dussel helps himself to a quarter of the half filled gravy boat and leaves the rest of us to do without. I lost my appetite and feel like jumping to my feet, knocking him off his chair and throwing him out of the door. Are most people so stingy and selfish? I have gained some insight into human nature since I came here, which is good, but I have had enough for the present. Para says the same. The war is going to go on despite our quarrels and our longings for freedom and fresh air. So, we should try to make the best of our stay here. I am preaching, but I also believe that if I live here much longer, I will turn into a dried up old beanstalk, and all I really want is to be an honest to goodness teenager. Jorzen. Wednesday evening, January 19, 1944. Dearest Kitty, there I go again. Don't know what is happened. But since my dream, I keep noticing how I have changed. By the way, I dreamed out Petro again last night, and once again I felt his eyes penetrate mine. But this dream was less vivid and not quite as beautiful as the last. You know that I always used to be jealous of Margaret's relationship with father. There is not a trace of my jealousy left now. I still feel hurt when father's nerves cause him to be unreasonable toward me. But then I think I can't blame you for being the way you are. You talk so much about the minds of children and adolescents, but you don't know the first thing about them. I long for more than father's affection, more than his hugs and kisses. Is not it awful of me to be so preoccupied with myself? Should not I, who want to be good and kind, forgive them first? I forgive mother too, but every time she makes a sarcastic remarks or laughs at me, it is all I can do to control myself. I know I am far from being what I should. Will I ever be? And Frank. P.S. Father asked if I told you about the cake for mother's birthday. She received a real mocha cake, pre-war, pre-war quality from the office. It was a really nice day, but at the moment there is no room in my head for things like that. Saturday, January 22, 1944. Dearest Kitty, can you tell me why people go to such lengths to hide their real selves? Or why I always behave very differently when I am in the company of others? Why do people have so little trust in one another? I know and there must be a reason. But sometimes I think it is horrible that you can't ever confide in anyone, not even those closest to you. It seems as if I have grown up since the night I had that dream, as if I have ever is as if I have become more independent. You will be amazed when I tell you that even my attitude toward the Vandons has changed. I've stopped looking at all the discussions and arguments from my family's biased point of view. What is brought on such a radical change? Well, you see, I suddenly realized that if mother had been different, if she had been a real mom, our relationship would have been very, very different. Mrs. Vandon is by no means a wonderful person. Yet half the arguments could have been avoided if mother had not been so hard to deal with every time they got onto a tricky subject. Mrs. Wandon does have one good point, though you can talk to her. She may be selfish, stingy, and underhanded, but she will um, readily back down as long as you don't provoke her and make her unreasonable. This tactic does not work every time, but if you are patient and you can keep trying and see how far you get. All the conflicts about our upbringings, about not pampering children, about the food, about everything, absolutely everything, might have taken a different turn if we had remained open and on friendly terms instead of always being the worst side. I know exactly what you are going to say, Kitty, but and are the are these words really coming from your lips? From you, who have had to put up with so many unkind words from upstairs? From you, who are aware of all the injustices? And yet, they are coming from me. I want to take a fresh look at things and from my own opinion, not just my parents, as in the proverb, the apple never falls far from the tree. I want to re examine the Wandons and decide for myself what is true and what has been blown out of proportion. If I wind up being disappointed in them, I can always side with father and mother. But if I not, I can try to change their attitude. But if that does not work, I will have to stick with my own opinions and judgment. I will take every opportunity to speak openly to Miss Swandy about our many differences and not be afraid, despite my reputation as a smart aleck, to offer my impartial opinion. I would not say anything negative about my family, though that does not mean I would not defend them if somebody else does. And as of today, my gossiping is a thing of the past. Up to now, I was absolutely convinced that the Wandons were entirely to blame for the quarrels, but now I am sure the fault was largely ours. We were right as far as the subject matters was concerned, but intelligent people such as ourselves should have more insight into how to deal with others. I hope I have got at least a touch of that insight and that I will find an occasion to put it to good use. Yours, Anne. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and keep watching, keep listening, and stay tuned to have more books in audio form. Thank you.